We are here to help you guys out as far as navigating your life, your world, when it comes to dating, relationships, and I guess that's about it, roughly. And love. Yeah. So we're just here to kind of help you guys out. Once again, we're not experts, but we do have experience. So we're trying to share those experiences with you guys.
And hopefully help you out on some of this stuff. We are actually in our third week talking about Black Mirror episodes.
Yes!
This week we're going to be focusing on the last season.
Season 5?
Yeah, Striking Vipers. This was actually my favorite of that entire season, and it brought a different dynamic.
It is. It's a lot, like you said. I mean, like there's friendship, love, commitment, the question of reality, I guess.
Yeah, it really is.
And then sexuality too. There's a lot that happens. Like you said, it is a heavy one to unpack. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that properly for you guys today on this episode, and start off with at least a proper review of the episode, and then an analysis as well. So it'll be a review analysis kind of thing altogether. That's pretty much how we're doing it.
Hopefully you guys have seen this episode. If you haven't, it actually deals with virtual reality and video games, kind of like Tekken or Street Fighter or whatever it is. It's actually super fun. So we have this guy, his name's Danny, right?
Yes, it's Danny.
We have Danny, he has his girl... Theo. They're dating, and Danny has a best friend.
I forgot the best friend's name.
Super buff guy.
The guy from Aquaman. What's his name on Aquaman?
Tell us his name.
Black Manta.
Yes.
That guy.
Yeah, so we're going to call him
producer?
Black Manta from now on. So
yes.
Black Manta and Falcon are friends.
Yes.
And while they are friends, they're two ex-college roommates, and
so it starts in the beginning, their dynamic and everything. So we see Theo and
that's right,
and they play this whole role-playing thing of
which
we don't know
cute.
each other, and I like that.
Cute.
And it shows the spice and sexuality in the relationship,
trying to spice it up,
and also the friendship between him and Black Manta. So Falcon and them are like pretty good. And then it fast forwards. I want to say,
fast forward is
maybe
years.
a decade.
Yeah,
because they have a kid. Falcon and Theo have a kid, and
Yeah, and then that's the thing, and then so Falcon pretty much, or Danny, if you guys want to call him Danny. Danny has a kid, but he's also experiencing a slight midlife crisis.
He is. Well, he's checking out a bunch of other chicks.
Well, yeah, Anthony Mackie, but I wanted the character name. I forgot. But no, I was like, I know Anthony Mackie, and then the other guy.
But
about
Manta. What is Manta's?
What is Black Manta's name? Anyone remember Black Manta's name on this episode? No, but anyway, so Anthony Mackie, definitely. Danny. Oh, we're gonna go. We have
Danny. We have Theo and Black Manta.
Right, there you go. So Black Manta. I wouldn't actually say midlife crisis. Actually, what he's dealing with is more of a passionless. But the name on the movie, on the episode.
Character name. God damn it, producer. I don't know why this is so hard. Okay.
Someone go to IMDb quickly. But so with that, nonetheless, Black Manta is having the midlife crisis. He's the one that has the issue where he's trying to still live to be young and blah, blah, blah.
But I don't know. Danny's also having that. We see him at his 40th birthday party. Mm-hmm. Or no, 38th. It begins with the 38th and the last one is 40th, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So at his 38th birthday party, and he's kind of checking out some chicks. Got a little ass crack going on, checking out the chick going into the van across.
That's true.
He is starting to at least visually wander.
He's got a wandering eye. That's true. Yeah. That's true. But I feel it's due to being trapped in a passionless relationship. I think that's where it is.
It is.
I would say loveless, but they do love each other.
They do. They genuinely do love each other. They have a child together. But even sex, because they're trying to have a second child, it's dudes. It's like, hey, this cycle, we gotta do it now. Get ready.
It's the time we have to do it.
It's no longer passion. It is very driven by kind of more necessity, I guess, of having that second child. It's not fun. It's not like role playing. It's just like, hey, this app tells us we should have sex today, so let's go ahead and do it.
It becomes so autonomous. It's like really you become disconnected by it, and it's like, well, this isn't fun anymore. This isn't great. I don't. It's a work. It's a task. It's literally a task, and no one wants to deal with a task, especially you don't want to have to see sex as a task. If you do, it's the worst sex ever.
Yeah, it really takes the passion out of it. And we see this, and eventually throughout this episode, we see Danny say, like, the excuse, I'm tired, and he's just not into it anymore. But the reason is because at his birthday party, his best friend, Black Manta, gave him an updated version of Striking Vipers is the game that they play.
Yes.
And it's a virtual reality thing, and they're kind of using, like, the version of a grain that we talked about in the
right,
previous episode,
and
like an
it's,
updated version of it. And
did you know it's by the same company, TXCR?
Oh yeah, the ticker or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
and it's been everywhere, and it's by the same exact company.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my god, come on, man! Like we're all in the same world, man. We're just floating around the same world.
The universe of Black Mirror is actually pretty interesting.
Yes.
If you ever want to check that out, maybe we can do a show about that in the future.
Ooh, that would be
Easter
interesting.
eggs and stuff.
It's like, where everything is as far as what timeline and where they are. Because the thing is, they may not be all on the same timeline. They may be like,
Sure.
like, oh, right now this is happening, but this may be like the 2040 for this people and then 2080 for others. And so I don't know.
We digress.
Sorry.
But so it's really interesting. So the long story short is Danny and Black Manta, because producer still hasn't given us his name, engage in this relationship within this game because you can feel everything that happens. And eventually the fighting turns into passionate love making, where Black Manta is Mantis, Guardians of the Galaxy.
I knew it. I was like, did you notice it? I was like, yes.
And then we also have our
Ex-Power Ranger. Yes, Ex-Power Ranger. Huh? Carl. Yes, that's his name. I will not forget it now. Danny and Carl. Danny, Carl, and Carl.
And so we have Carl as Mantis, and then we have Danny as our Black Power Ranger.
Black Power Ranger. Ludi Lin.
Yes.
Shout out to Ludi Lin. I know you guys recognize him immediately.
But and they eventually engage in relationships where you have all the feelings and emotions, and eventually it plays on Danny's relationship. It plays on Carl's relationships.
Yes.
And at the end, it's like, are we gay? Do we actually love each other? Is this just a video game? Is this a real relationship? And,
there you go. That's the line everyone keeps bringing up. Every time I've watched or read anything, everyone keeps bringing that line up. I fucked a polar bear.
And it's not the same. He wants to fuck his best friend as Ludi Lin.
Exactly.
He wants,
that's what he
wants
needs.
to be Mantis, and he wants to fuck the Black Power Ranger.
He wants a Black Power Ranger. That's it. It was just like, I need the crossover genres. I can't have sex with a polar bear.
Yeah, and this is kind of like the whole setup for it. And at the end, like the Theo and Danny come to a compromise where she gets to go out at least once a year. I mean, at least on their birthday or whatever. It's kind of like a birthday present where she can go out and, do this thing, and he gets to screw around
with his friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like both Ludi Lin and Palm is like freaking
Palm. Yes, that's her name.
They are hot. So
oh my god, both of them are perfectly hot, and that's the thing I did notice like immediately with both of them. Because when you play those video games, everything you notice immediately that they are hypersexualized.
Of course, and that's what the games are. Like if you've ever played any of those games, if you've seen Chun-Li, if you've seen Cammy, like any of those, like they are definitely oversexualized.
Immediately. And this episode brought up a lot of questions and dealt with a lot of themes. And there's just a list of some that I was like, ooh, this is one, this is another one.
What do you want to get into first? What should we? Because there is a lot to unpack here.
One short one, because it really doesn't take too much, just in my opinion, was sexual identity. Because the thing is, it was like, all right, they never placed a label on their own sexual identity during this whole thing. Now, I feel that was a missed opportunity as far as delving into the character, but I definitely understand why they didn't, because the thing is, this isn't a narrative for us to be able to discuss sexual identity and what we see ourselves as and things of that nature. That's not what it was for, so I get why they didn't do it, but I was like, dang, it's a missed opportunity for the character.
Yeah, because we have Carl being Mantis. I forget what her character is. Roxy, I think her name is Roxy.
That's right.
So and wants to be
and then Lance.
Yes. So we have Roxette, and they even have this question of like, how's the orgasm? And he's trying to explain it, and he doesn't have the words to like really explain how it is.
A man can't explain a woman's orgasm, and that is amazing to me. And even when you've been embodied, you've been in a woman's body, and you can't describe what a female orgasm is, and it just lets you know as a woman. Well, I mean, they can't find one body part that's really important. How are they going to figure everything else out? It's one of those.
But even as Rob said, it does kind of bring it up where like he always chooses to be her, and even in this virtuality to be like her. And I was wondering if it has something to do with like transgender.
Oh, that was something that I was wondering about also.
I don't know if we want to dive too much because we have a whole lot of stuff, but is it touching on that too? And is it kind of like a gateway to be like exploring that possibility?
Well, that's the thing. When it comes to having like an avatar, there are different levels, they say, concerning like an avatar. There's a symbiotic one, there's this, there's the other. But when it comes to the avatar option, my thing was also interesting where they didn't choose to say, okay, well, next time I'm going to be the woman,
Yeah.
and you're going to be blah, blah. No, it was very strict, very set up, very rigid in that way, where it's like, when it comes to sexuality and even sex itself, when
Or
it
even
comes
bestiality
to...
when he's fucking a polar bear.
Boom.
You know.
It becomes that question of, well, then, you know, why, there are these assigned roles.
Yes.
And he made sure that they still understood it as far as their assigned roles, which is, when you have the ability to do anything, why do you stick to this rigid ideal of assigned roles, like a top or a bottom, or I have to be the man, like or
human,
woman? Yeah, exactly.
Animal,
Why couldn't you guys
you can
switch?
do whatever you want.
Exactly.
But when you take on this particular persona, does it genuinely mean that you want to be that? Does that fall into the transgender kind of like category?
See, that's a good one, and I was wondering about that for his character, for Carl, if Carl really had a thing where he was ultimately thinking of being that. But
I
you have
didn't
to
really
remember,
get the sense in this particular episode. I think it was just kind of more living out this fantasy, and this is what he was comfortable with.
Yeah,
I
see,
don't know.
now
And
here's a
how do
question.
you draw the line?
Here's a question for you. Was Carl, from the beginning, was Carl masterminding the whole thing of having Danny play the game so that all this could happen?
See, that's the thing. I don't think he was. I don't think that was his intentions.
Okay.
I think, like, we were college friends. That game that we used to play all the time that, you know, Theo was like, God, why are you guys playing this again? Was like, hey, it's your birthday. This was our one connection. They updated it. And I think it's something that he eventually discovered. Not necessarily. Like, there was no indications to me that this was his ultimate plan.
Now, if I could.
Okay.
Devil's advocate. Earlier on the episode, when they had the flashback, when they first played the game together, they did this whole thing where this is the thing that men do, where we connect in that way. And for men, it's like, you don't touch other men, you don't get connected, you don't get close or anything like that. The only time that does happen is during bonding moments or bonding sessions where there's a lot of masculinity floating around or testosterone floating around.
And it's a fighting game that they're playing. Yes.
Watching sports, playing video games or something like that. And then when, you know, it's like, yeah, all right, high five, oh man, you get it, yeah, blah, blah, yeah, pat on the butt, blah, blah. Yes. That's when it happens. And this was a moment where that kind of male bonding was happening. So when that male bonding was happening, there was a moment at the end where Carl kind of like pushes the remote down and like jumps on him. Yeah. And does like a fake humping thing. And it was like...
But I feel like that is part of the male culture.
Thing. Exactly, right?
That is something that you guys do.
We do, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like a homoerotic thing. It's just kind of... It's joking around and it's kind of... It's just something that happens.
See, what they say in psychiatry, it's kind of like, they call it libidal kind of actions or energy. Now, there are two levels when it comes to it. There's sexual, and then there's just like this whole kind of physical connection that you just need to have. And men, we do also need to have it with men, but we don't know how to make it socially acceptable. Yeah. Except for those bonding moments. Yes. And I think that's
things
exactly
that have
what
like you're saying, high testosterone, like high aggression. Where you're able to have that kind of platonic bonding moment where like touching is involved.
Yeah, so then with that being the case, then no, definitely he didn't, well, at least from what we see, he didn't like have a mastermind plan to go ahead and have that be the case, where it's like, all right, we're going to play this game, then I'm going to fuck him. No, it wasn't one of those, right?
But I think it does open up, I think, realistically, that someone that's going into this and having the emotions that Carl is having would logically go through and be like, 1, am I gay? 2, am I was born in the wrong body?
That was a good one.
Is this something that's just like part of the fantasy? Of like the reason why this is interesting is because it's not something I could explore in any other fashion.
That's true. That's true. But see, and that all still comes to, I just wish there were things that they could do, but I love some of the things they did do. Because when it comes to men, we don't know how to communicate our feelings. Okay. There's that thing where it's like, we just don't do
we
it.
Saw, and like, even then, at the very end, it was very fitting of this episode where they meet and they're like, I have to know if we're gay.
Yes!
I have to know if it's you or if it's literally just the character
that I'm
attracted to. So, I mean... they kiss. You know, and I genuinely believe that they were like, it's not the same. Like, I like the video game character, but I almost kind of thought that Anthony Mackie's character, Johnny, for a quick second was like trying to read it and was like,
I knew it.
Oh, you actually didn't feel anything? Because you see it when he's talking to his wife too, when they're having dinner at some point, they're blinking and kind of like staring, and he was like, "You can
such a good actor for it, giving us the lie,
and he was just like, "No, you know, I'm just tired." But he's up screwing his friend at night in his VR experience.
It's that literal cognitive dissonance, and you see it, and he made sure to give it to us on this episode.
That kind of blink and that kind of like. I'm unsure about Danny's character. I'm a little more convinced about Carl, where he was like.
Yeah, they were done, and Carl was like, nope.
It's really when I'm Roxette and you're Lance, and like...
Then it works, but besides that, it just didn't. And you hit it right on the nose, because I saw it too, where Danny stops for a beat, and he's trying to read him. And then when he goes... No, no, yeah, me too, right, we said the same thing at the same time. Yeah, it was like one of those.
That was like 3 seconds later, man, and why are your eyes so shifty?
Yeah, like, we finished each other's...
I'm not lying. I'm not lying, you know?
It was like one of those, we finished each other's...
Sandwiches!
Oh, say a sandwich. Yes, that's what you're saying. Yeah, we're one and the same. But it's like that thing, and that's all built up due to another theme that I noticed, which is, it's weird to say it, but it's behind a wall of, I hate to say it because it gets on my nerves saying it so much, but toxic masculinity.
Okay.
There's a wall of it built, and it's a commentary on it where it's men having a hard time being able to like truly communicate how they feel, because they feel if they do so, they're seen or perceived as weak.
Yes.
And so it's like, I can't share it. And out of the people, the person that you are dealing with this one giant crisis with is the person that you should be able to communicate it with still. You can't do it.
And I always hate to bring in race because it's one of those things.
Yes. I have it in my notes. I have it in my notes.
Harder within the black community.
I have it in my notes.
And it seems to have that, and I have no idea if the races of these particular characters play anything into it, where it's like you can explore it, because it's like, not my race, it's not my gender, so I can push it off, and it's not me.
Oh, I feel it does. I feel it does, and I feel they did it very well, because I wrote a whole thing on it, like, quote unquote.
What is your take on this particular thing?
Quote unquote, the down low culture, which is something that I saw all over the internet when I just typed in this, and it was like, the quote-unquote black Twitter, black internet went crazy with it. The down low culture. Oh, and how dare Anthony Mackie even do this, and blah, blah. He should be happy. He was there, and he's going to be the new Cap, and blah, blah. And now he does this, tearing us down as people. And it was why is it tearing us down as people just because he's embracing a character? One, it's a character, and two, yes, it is a black character.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but we got a super chat from Larry Newbill. Thank you so much. Happy hour. If you guys could instantly gain any skill, what would it be? I thought about this a lot, and especially if we're in the Matrix and I could just plug in, I would want to be literate in every single language in the world. Like, I would want to be able to read. I want to know, like, the understandings, like, colloquialisms. I want to know, like, idioms of every country and be able to understand every single person in the world.
Damn. That is good.
Yeah.
Because think about that. I mean, immediately you're like, I can work for the UN forever. I can do this. I can do that. I can do that.
But just being able to communicate and understand, like, where people are coming from and cultural, like, things. Because, I mean, like, being in America, we're, like, you know, nation, and we're kind of, like, very sheltered from how other people live. So, you know, I would love that. So, Larry Newbill, thanks for that great question. What would it be if you could learn anything? If I could learn anything. Or any skill.
It's weird because it's a skill I guess you can't just immediately pick, but I would love to try to learn the skill of being the best orator ever.
That is good, to be able to articulate, to be able to,
and also
words
be able,
good.
Yes, and be able to almost immediately convince anyone of anything.
And for you, Larry, since you asked that, I pushed that back on you.
Yeah, I want to know what you would. That's definitely what I want to know. But once again, with the down low culture, it addresses kind of a growing fear in the black culture of men on the down low. That whole thing of just, you know, oh, okay, I sleep with men, but I'm married, and blah, blah, and all that stuff. And it also highlights the black struggle relationship, as they call it. This is the thing that happens. Because women, they say it happens a lot when it comes to the black culture, where women feel almost like neglected neglected emotionally and physically, while being burdened with the child care responsibilities, while the man is giving his passion to something or someone else. And it's just like, what happened? Where's the connection? Why did you guys fall apart?
Yeah.
But it's like, this is what they're saying is happening as far as the black family ethic and the black struggle relationship, as they call it. It's literally coined the phrase as that. And it's just like, wow, this is what we're seeing right here. And it's so interesting because it's like, okay, I feel they chose this, the race was very important as well, because it's something that, even though it's happening in some weird future, not dystopian, but some weird future, but yet it rings true now.
And I feel like, especially like in this episode, it doesn't really push the boundaries of technology as far as we've discussed in the other episodes. This is very grounded and very possible, and it's a possibility. I feel like today, maybe not like the whole touch and feeling and everything else through VR, but it is not as it's not quite as far in the future as we think. This is very grounded in what we have now, so I feel like the issues are things that we are dealing with now.
Oh yeah. But also, another thing when it comes to race and everything like that, something that I wanted to make sure I do point out, like, there's the whole thing of the black man picture, or the black man smile, which is no smile in a picture. If you ever kind of look at it when you see black men, a lot of them, if you look at their pictures alone, there's no smile.
Interesting.
And black men tend to be rather stoic when it comes to taking a picture, like,
I kind of feel
something like that,
quite a lot of guys are
you know, like,
kind of like that.
See,
and then Larry is like,
he
wants to gain more puzzle and problem-solving tech skills. That's actually a pretty good one. That is definitely helpful on the daily. Okay. But yeah, so
I'm thinking of world domination with mine. He's over here thinking, I just want to have some fun. I like it. We see who's good and who's evil. I'm inherently evil. That's fine. I'm just saying. But it just, on that level, there was just so much to unpack and look at. So from that kind of aspect, I was just like blown away, and I had to watch again to see if I really understood it that way. And I was like, damn, I really do. I get this. On that level, it was amazing to me.
So do you think that had an effect on this particular relationship between him and Theo?
God.
Or between him and Carl?
I think it did for both.
And then what kind of specific way do you think that played into? Because, you know, from you coming from a black man and kind of understanding this obviously more than I could in this specific situation, what is your take on it? Like, how do you think it's effect? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it, supportive or detrimental? Is it something that you can overcome, and is it worth overcoming, or is that part of who you are as a culture, as a person?
Well, one, I feel it's negative on all sides because it's something that we discussed earlier, which is still universal: communication.
Yes.
The communication, it lacked in every bit. Is that another super chat?
Oh, we do have another super chat. It's Larry Newbill. You're welcome, Elle and Daniel. That was a truth or drink card. Oh, so you have this game.
Thank you very much.
Interesting. I like that.
I appreciate it. No, but yeah, like the lack of communication, which is something that, again, because we work so hard with that bit of toxic masculinity, but that also moves into more of a cultural thing where we're trained not to be emotional. We're told showing emotion can make us vulnerable, and if we are vulnerable, we will be attacked. As black men, it's something that we're essentially taught without actually those words.
So this escape into the game kind of gives them this opportunity to explore these feelings and emotions and playing with their own sense of self in a way that is like a safe environment.
Yes, where it's a safe place to actually do this, and anywhere else outside of it is not. And I think that's why the kiss didn't feel as genuine for both in some way.
Because they're in person, they can see each other and like see the emotions
vulnerable
as who they are and not the avatars.
Exactly.
So even though, so this game, the Striking Vipers, are able to explore all this, and I would say it's positive between Danny and Carl's relationship, in their friendship, relationship, whatever it may or may not be. We're not quite there yet. But is exploring that detrimental to, say, your hetero relationship with your monogamous
with your wife? Yes, it has to be.
And is there a way that you could kind of like work on both of these things and have the best of both worlds, or is that kind of just
have your cake and eat it too?
Yeah.
Ooh, jeez.
And that might be getting too far into the end.
No, that's something that's something I was going into, because they have to deal with a little bit of neglect. And that's that whole thing of have your cake and eat it too, but you're really, like, when someone says, I'm going to have my cake, I'm going to eat it too, really, you're just being gluttonous. That's all you're really doing. Yeah, exactly what gluttony is. It's greed.
Yes. over the
I was late.
Oh, that's why you were catching up. Greedy. But yeah, that's all you're being is greedy. So now here you come. Like for example, you go out, you come home full. You didn't bring anything for your wife, and she's here, and he's like, "Oh, I just slaved over a whole meal. It's at this table."
And the thing is,
you're
you
like,
see
"Oh,
her.
I'm
You
so
see
full."
Theo at some point, like checking in the mirror. She's like, "Is it me?
Is it me?
Is it because I did let myself go a little bit? Maybe
Oh,
I didn't."
and
go
that's
through-"
the worst.
And that was one of the most heartbreaking things in this, where
Yep.
it has nothing to do with her and everything to do with him in this particular instance.
Mm-hmm. It just, once again, like someone steps out on a relationship, what you're doing, you're being sexually satisfied outside of the relationship, but then you still exist within that relationship. When you come back, and now this person is like, now it's my turn to be sexually satisfied,
Yes.
and you're like, no, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm that.
But he's
you're making these
also
lies and you're
not-
pushing them away.
It's not necessarily a lie. It's just he's not engaged. Is this like a moment where you should just tell the truth?
Yes.
Is this something that
Yes.
maybe will go away? Because I think he's actually thinking like, this is going to be a phase. Once I get out of my system, it's not going to be a big deal, because he doesn't really want this to be his life.
See, but that's a problem also with addiction, where people, because there's addiction with substance, and then there's also process. This was one of process, where you didn't have to take something to become addicted, but like addiction to sex is one of addiction to process, and that's exactly what he was doing. It's like this addiction to this, and this is why this kind of relates so much to porn in a way for me.
All right.
It becomes so interesting in this way, because ultimately that's what you're expecting someday. People will hope porn gets like this. It becomes interactive. It becomes this way, blah, blah, blah.
And we actually
So,
see a little bit of this with Carl's girlfriend, the younger girlfriend or whatever, where she was like,
That
"Oh,
was so
you
interesting.
can't even satisfy me. Is it cool
Is it
if
okay
I
if
use
I
my
just use this?" Yeah.
Yeah, and like I'll just do it myself.
Yep.
And it's talking about these kind of relationships, and it's bringing up a lot of things, and I feel like I don't know. It's kind of hard.
all of it. Well,
and
is
it's
all of
breaking
it?
it up and like engaging in this. Does it deal with multiple relationships? Are you seeking something else? Like, especially in this world where technology is way far advanced, and something like porn can kind of get you off these vibrators or whatever they might be is like significant enough. Is it like a substitute for people? Is it polyamory? Is it cheating?
Is it cheating? Is it polyamory? Is it substituting for people? Is it ultimately having us step away even farther from each other?
Yes.
And that's the question.
Where technology should be bringing us closer together, but I mean, as you guys know, things like Instagram, where you put up a false facade of who you are, and that's not really you, and it's actually kind of driving people away. Like, it's one of those things where the more successful you appeal, it's actually kind of like making other people envious, which isn't bringing them closer. It's actually
drawing them away.
Yeah,
pushing
and
them away.
is this technology doing that? Is this great? Is technology supposed to... I mean, there's a lot of questions in this episode, and I wish we had like a bigger structure and that we can talk about every single aspect. But
I do love that you even brought up the open relationships and the polyamory, because ultimately, you guys have seen it already. We're going to talk about it in bits and pieces and jump everywhere. In the end, did they ultimately choose an open relationship or polyamory, or... aka polyamory, or did they settle to stay together for whatever reason, the kids or whatever, blah blah? What do you think it was?
I think staying together for the kids, because they weren't fighting. They had a very caring relationship. I don't think that's necessarily settling. They are great partners together. And I think the compromise that came at the end, where it's like, hey, you could be with Carl on whatever days, and I get to go out, that it's kind of a compromise that works for them. It's not something that would work for everybody.
And that's something that I noticed. Like, even in my notes for the for just going over things for the ending, it was just like, not every marriage is the same.
And it's not, and people are more open for certain things and other people are not. And, you know, it's kind of where your boundaries lie and what you're comfortable with as a person. But the reason is, like, the way they even came to this were... You know, whether she viewed it as cheating or not, was like, I understand that this is the spice in your life. Like, this was us, you know, role-playing early on, and this is what made it exciting. And
I like that.
If you want to do that, then that's fine. Because, I mean, she was obviously pregnant with a second child. Like, everything was working out. It's like, okay, like, I get that life is mundane. And being in a monogamous relationship with one person forever, you could kind of tell, especially in their relationship, the drab colors is very gray. It was very boring.
Oh my God!
And the vibrant of living this alternate life.
Oh,
was
the second
what
life
they
was
needed.
everything. It was everything. There was always color.
Yeah.
versus when they didn't have the color in real life. Everything was gray. Everything
and
was
I think
drab.
that's what
Oh
they
my
need.
God.
Everyone needs that passion in their life. They need to be able to find it in order to grow as people, in order to stay connected. And I feel like the compromise that they came with was actually really good. Carl gets to have that. She gets to go out and still come home, be exceptionally great partners, be great parents. I mean, they weren't really fighting. Like, even when they're like, oh, you don't want to sleep with me? Like, they still put the kids first. And I think that was important in their relationship.
Okay, so you think feel more than, okay, we accepted this
whatever
for
it
the
is,
kids.
yeah.
For the kids. I mean, no, I was thinking about that, like the whole hall pass
Yeah.
itself. And it's like, was their happy ending, which is interesting because in Black Mirror usually there aren't any happy endings, and a lot of people still said it wasn't a happy ending.
I think it was. I think they were able to come up with a compromise that worked for them in their particular situation.
See, and that's what I
said. And I feel like it's not a detriment to anyone because they have it, or I think it was their anniversary, not a birthday, where it's like, I give you the VR set. This is
we
the
take
ring.
off the rings, blah, blah,
and at the end it's like, and I want it back in the morning. And they made this agreement that we will stick together and that you get this hall pass in order to keep our relationship fresh, in order to keep it satisfied
to keep it alive, and to make sure it's still happening. And the thing is, people were going crazy all over. I was reading this again, and people were like, "Oh, well, this is horrible because it's just an open relationship and polyamory, and that's ruining everything." And blah blah. And it's like what you're thinking of is a narrow mind space.
And
that
polyamory
you see.
is not negative if everyone is okay with it. And the whole thing with polyamory is you tell your partner that this is what I want from a relationship. Some of them can be sexual, some of them can't. Like you might just have that emotional connection with, and you'll never sleep with them.
That's true.
And it's just acknowledging that your connection with certain people are extremely important, and it could be perceived as cheating, and you just have these connections.
That's exactly it. And it was like, well, it's like almost a nature versus nurture. And the way I see it is nature meaning polyamory. For them, it's what's natural.
Yes.
Versus nurture, which is monogamy, which is what is a kind of a taught kind of thing, which is you're supposed to get married to stay with this one person, and this is it, and this is how your life is going to be. Oh, okay, mom, dad, whatever, society, this is what you say I do. So it's learned. It's learned behavior versus what just actually comes out in nature. So it was like those two kind of clashing ideals, and you could see it with everyone online where they were going through it, where they were like, no, this is wrong, or yes, this was right.
And the thing is, like, wow. So when Theo goes out and actually has a relationship with a real person, and not a virtual reality, is that cheating? Is it cheating because it's virtual reality, but you can have all the sensations and feelings? And I guess, when it comes down to their relationship, it doesn't really matter because they both agree that whatever they're going to do, is they okay with it?
Is it okay with them?
I'm fine with it. You're fine with it. And we're gonna.
But on a personal level, if you're dating someone, you're married to someone, and then they are going out and indulging in this interactive porn now, and that means another person is involved.
It is.
Is it cheating?
In this particular case, I feel like because the sensations are all there, it is. But because she's okay with it, I guess. I would be kind of bitter. It was like, man, you're getting on the side for how long? And I didn't even get to go to the bar again. Like, I should get like an extra 3 month pass on this, and you still only get once a year.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day. Here's another hall pass. You get to do it on Valentine's Day.
Merry Christmas. Blah, blah.
Yeah,
Happy
here it goes. You're gonna get a few extras until we're caught up. Like that, man. But then even after that, I'm wondering, like, would she be like, you know what? I never want him in my house again. Like, there would be so many things that go along with that.
But I think because the three of them were such good friends, and because she knows Carl, that it kind of made it easier for her to accept, or at least from my perspective, it would be. And Larry Newbill, thank you so much for another super chat. What dish do you slay in the kitchen every time you make it?
What do I slay now? Oh, you are playing the game with us right now while we're doing the show.
Hey, well, you sent us a super chat, so we are going to answer your question.
I was just noticing that, like, wait a minute, that question, you're playing the game.
It is.
What do I slay in the kitchen? It depends. I've got dinner and I've got dessert. If I'm going for dinner, I make one of the most amazing fucking ragouts, dude. Like, forget it. It's a bouillabaisse that you're like, I'm going to have to kill someone to eat this again. Like, it's that good stuff. Dessert, I make an amazing peach cobbler. Your grandma would be upset. Just saying. Boom.
Man, I don't cook a whole lot, but I don't know. I don't really slay anything in the kitchen, but it is passable and edible, and hopefully won't give you diarrheas, and that's good enough for me.
Hey, you say that, and then all of a sudden you're like, there's this amazing peanut butter and jelly sandwich I make. It's like the ratio is perfect. I even do this thing to the crust. Who knows? You may have something.
Yeah.
You don't have anything in mind?
I don't know. It's just all passable. But I see that Whitney actually has an interesting comment. It's like, it wasn't cheating because it's in their contract.
Because
it wasn't cheating. Yeah, in their contract. So it's like when you have this understanding.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. I mean, yeah, I agree. Because for them, it wasn't.
I think
cheating,
initially, though, that him getting the side action with Carl, I'd be like,
before telling her and everything.
Yeah.
Once again, not telling her is the problem. It's a sin of omission.
Yeah.
And that was cheating then.
Because she asked him straight up too, is like, is there somebody else? He just didn't want to admit it was Carl.
He's like, something. What are you talking about? Something
and it is that thing because it's like, and Larry Newbill says his killer thing is lasagna.
Oh, bravo. I appreciate it. I want to know more. I do. But with that going on, it's like the whole thing is really at the base of it all is that they were in a passionless relationship. And if they really worked hard at like igniting or reigniting that spark, I think that would have avoided all of that. Would have been avoided.
Okay, so that's one of the things. Do you think that could be reunited, or like be reignited? Sorry, not united, ignited. Because it's one of those things that in a relationship, and I think why it worked out so well for them is that they, at the core of the relationship, they were solid friends and solid partners. Because passion, I feel like in every relationship will eventually begin to wane.
Yes.
I haven't had like decades long relationships, so obviously I don't necessarily know. But in every relationship that I've been in, that initial lust isn't enough to carry a relationship. You want to find someone that is going to be your partner in crime, that's going to support and respect and be there for you, and that is a core of a relationship. Sex and everything,
very true.
That is
that goes away,
and it is part of it. But eventually, it will wane. And it
will. And honestly, but the thing is, when I say the spark, and passion is more than just sex.
Okay,
that's the thing. Where passion is that connection, that infatuation, where you want to still be around a person. Oh, it's okay. It's all right. Okay. Welcome. This is what we all deal with here. But no, it's passion itself is more than just sex. It's that intent for intimacy, where you want to be connected to that person. Yes. It doesn't mean that you have to. You just want to be around them. You want to see them. You want to talk to them. You're infatuated with them, and that whole thing is gone from their relationship. It felt like
but I still feel like they were solid, where it's like, hey, make your dinner, like, let's do this. I invited your friend over.
I think, once again, that was all done under the condition or under the guise of, we are raising a child, and I'm looking to have another. But the thing is, what happens now when the children are gone? What happens when they get older, and now they're gone? What are they going to do then?
But even then, I feel like to have kids, it means that you know that your partner is a good father or a good mother. That they're both engaging in it, and it's like, we can raise these kids to be like great citizens of humanity. Yeah,
but you can also raise a child without being in the same household. You can also raise them without being married. And then it's like, so then what happens then? So that's the thing. It's like, this plan, this contract that they have ultimately is faulty, because what they're not doing is addressing the elephant in the room. They're going around it. That's what I feel.
But once they have that open communication and they come up to this compromise and they are satisfied both like sexually or romantically and supported emotionally, I think it works for them.
Well, yes.
For them specifically.
It's very true. Now, what happens also, like I said, with the child gone. So now we have an answer for that. But what happens when she gets older and physically she's not catching those guys? Is she going to have to go online and do the thing with him? Like,
might be.
Are they gonna,
it could be. And it's like, and one of my questions was, I wonder if they could rekindle their romance if she was involved in the game, or she was involved in
wondering about
reality.
that. And I wondered if that would have brought up a problem too. Because what if he's like, oh, hey, we'll switch off on using it. One day Carl gets on, she's on. Something happens between them.
But the thing is, like, but it's not with Carl, because Carl knows. He was like, I've done everyone. I've done randoms in the internet with every.
I know when it's not my Danny.
And he does, and he was like, I've tried. Like, don't you think I've tried?
Yeah, true.
To like forget you, and I can't do it. It is
I can't
not
quit
the
you.
same. It is. It's one of those moments.
It's a Brokeback moment. You couldn't quit him. But I did go over some ideas as far as ways to kind of reignite the spark in relationships.
Okay.
Just
because it is kind of inevitable that, like, when you're together long enough, finding that spark, it does get progressively harder. And in every single relationship, and please correct me if I'm wrong, if you're in a long-term healthy relationship and you've been together for 20, 30 years and it is still as good as the first time that you
let us
met,
know. Let us know. Because we would love to hear the secret. Just give us the info.
But what are some of your secrets for igniting this spark?
One suggestion at least that I can suggest is make the time. Now, when I say that, there's options as far as like change plans to revolve around like us instead of just me.
Yes.
You know, like take that time. Kind of think about how can she or how can he, whatever, how can your partner be included? So this way it becomes an us thing instead of a me thing. I think that's one of the great things to do. And also, keep the lines of communication open. As far as when it comes to making the time, take the time to do a phone call and just catch up. I know you probably just saw him earlier today, blah, blah. Just call him and say, hey, I'm thinking about you. You know, video call, email, just communicate some way.
In the lunch or something sweet. Like something that's like out of the ordinary where you're like, oh. It catches you off guard. To have that spontaneity, to have that like always keeping guessing kind of game.
Oh. I love it. That's a great one. Another one is state the things you would like to be appreciated for. Because when it comes to relationships, being taken for granted is like almost unavoidable in almost any established relationship. So what you want to do is kind of make sure that those, once again, the lines of communication are open. Because it's crucial to be able to communicate with your partner and be able to communicate of what you feel you do contribute to the relationship and what you're good at. So this way, even if they happen to forget, they will be able to remember then. Because, like, at any relationship at the beginning, what you start with is, like, something that's bright. And you get to know what that person shined with, right? Like, oh, this is what made that person shine and made them individual and unique.
I agree with you. And to be open with those compliments, as you were in the beginning of, like, oh, my God, I think you're beautiful. I love it when you do this. I can't believe how understanding you are.
There it is.
You know, and things like that. Because after a while, it is one of those things that kind of does lose the spark, is taking someone for granted.
That is. And you gotta keep that shined up, because if not, it becomes soiled. It loses its luster, and then after that, it doesn't shine as much. And if they're not shining as much, you won't notice them as much. So now it becomes something where they're like, "Hey, you know, I'm right here," and you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't notice you there." And it's like, that's wrong, and it's not the way it should be. And you want that for yourself too. So kind of take that time. Take that time to do that. That's really
I actually
important.
met this couple this past weekend. I was like on this big camping trip, and there was a couple that I met, and they were probably the cutest. Like, she was super sweet, and I don't want to give too much information in case, I don't know, if it ever gets out there. But she was like, oh my God, like, you know, I've dated people, but this guy is the best. And we're just talking, having a random conversation. He's like, he's the most understanding. And he's not really listening, but she's just telling me, and like, it kind of comes out of nowhere.
Beaming about how great he is.
And I was like, you know, because I see your passion for him, like, I love him. Like,
yes,
he's such an amazing person.
That's good.
And, like, she gave me the example. It's like, you know, she's like, I'm such a dum-dum. I left the stove on. And, you know, any other, she, like, beats herself up about it. And she's very like, oh, no, I can't believe I did it. It's like, it's okay. Like, the house didn't burn down. You're okay. And that's all that matters. And was supporting, knowing that, like, she's incredibly sensitive. And he's there, and it's like, no, I love that about you. I know that you do care. You don't have to beat yourself up. So I'm here to help ease it. And it's just like, I was like, oh my God.
And like, you guys are an example. I'm just paying attention. Like,
and they were so cute. And it's one of those things, like, paying compliments and recognizing the strengths of the other person, and recognizing kind of your own failings and seeing how they complete you that way. And it wasn't one of those things where it's just like, oh, he's in earshot, so I'm trying to, like, build him up. It's like, no, it was just like, we're talking off to the side. And then, you know, I was like with a friend, he was talking with him, and after it's like, oh my God, like, it was so weird. They're just so positive, and that positivity in the relationship really does shine, where I was like, man, see, I want to be like that.
That is a real life example of exactly that. Yes. I love that. Because it's like, here it is, and boom.
I feel like, man, like, that couple, like, I hope everyone aspires to be like them.
See, I mean, guys, it's possible. what we're saying is actually something. It's there.
Yeah.
Another thing, what we do suggest, which that couple actually did, is do things together. Do something together. Romantic dinner. Another option is more like romantic nostalgia, as I call it. Go to where you first kissed or you first fell in love. You first held hands.
I like that. That is a really good idea.
And do that, because the thing is, sometimes being in a place that you tend to share a strong attachment can do that for you and bring all those feelings back up.
It is
so
true.
it kind of makes you remember it all.
I
So
like
you know,
that. That
that's
is some
something that's
solid
good.
advice.
Yeah, you know, do something new also, because something new is also great, because what it
is,
does,
especially when you experience it together for
Yes,
the first time, and
yes.
you can talk about even if it was like the most like terrible experience, you kind of have that bonding moment. It's like, oh my god, those people were crazy, or oh my god,
Right.
that was terrible. Let's never do that again.
See,
you
like,
know, and
these
that
things are so
camaraderie
good.
like will just bring you
Oh
closer and
yes,
closer together.
yes. Oh, you know why though? I was looking at it, and it's all actually because when that happens, it actually releases dopamine and serotonin, which are actually instant bonders. When
Nice.
you actually have it released at the same time, you guys get connected. Boom, and it just works. So there you go. That's exactly it. Real life examples. I love when it's like we say something and then boom,
Yeah.
here's a real life example. So people are like, oh. Well, yeah, that is possible then. Another one is, now this one a lot of people may debate, and it may be here nor there, I don't know.
Let's
But
see.
focus more on your partner's happiness than your own. And the reason I say that is because when true love is involved, true happiness can be achieved through the joyful eyes of your lover or your partner. Because when they're happy, or when you are working to make sure they're happy, if it's true love,
Yes.
they are also working to make sure that you're happy. So it's just a constant cycle. It's like I'm working to make sure you're happy, and because I'm making sure you're happy and you are looking out for my happiness. Cycle. It's a constant
Man,
cycle.
and like on a really small scale, and this is kind of crappy, but it's like if you've ever had like a dog or a pet that you absolutely love and you just take care of them, that bond, and because like when you're sad, they come and snuggle up to you. It is one of those things, and if you can have that, and it's like there's a lot of people out there, and like I'm kind of one of those. Like I tend to love animals more than people a lot of the time, and I feel like that's
That could be
true.
why.
You do things because it's like, oh, because I love you, and you know, I just want to feed you and cuddle you and take you out for walks, and in return, you come and you just snuggle, and you know when I'm sad, and you like just make me happy. And it's like one of the best relationships.
I'm telling you, that's how it is.
And if you can apply that to people and find someone that you care about more than yourself,
that's
especially, and if they are a good person and they reciprocate, because if they're a greedy motherfucker, you need to drop them. But like, you know, you'll figure that out pretty quick.
Pretty much. I mean, because the thing is, like, when you do that and you're focusing on them, you guys work, because this way you become each other's, like, best friends.
Yes.
You become each other's confidants, advisors, and, of course, biggest fans. Those are the things that you should try to strive to be with each other and for each other, because that will do nothing but build up the one, and that other person doesn't want to be up there alone. So they're reaching down and pulling you up when you need it. So you guys are working to pull each other up the whole time.
And it's true. And that could like rekindle the spark of love, but that can also get you through the low times where it's like, hey, maybe you're losing that passion, but because you know you love each other and you care about that person so much that, hey, you know, like they were having rough times in the bed and not having a lot of sex, but they wanted to stay each other because I think they had that strong foundation where it's like, you're such a good person and I do love you, and even though we're going through this hard time, we will work it out. We're going to make it through this.
Damn,
you know,
I
so
like that.
So like how it's cyclical, I bring you up, you bring me up, and it's like, hey, because like we've had this strong concrete foundation that we can go through the bad times and we can be there for the good times, and it doesn't matter. You know, so I feel like that works both ways. I like that. It's some good advice.
Damn, I get shivers when it's on point. All right, another one is forgive each other. Now, I know this one sounds weird at first, but you got to think about it.
Okay.
To forgive is to detach from the bitterness, the anger, and animosity that can hold you back from your partner.
Yeah.
So the whole thing with that is whatever it is that is like big enough for you to hold on to use as ammunition during like a future fight isn't big enough to make you leave. If that's the case, then it shouldn't be big enough for you to even have to continue dragging around with you and drag into your future. Leave the past in the past, and that's where it is.
Yeah.
So learn to do that. And holding on to like hurtful memories only perpetuates them. That's the whole thing. If it's a hurtful memory and you hold on to it, all you're doing is just perpetuating it. It's growing.
Yeah, it's going to grow and it's going to be like a virus and infect your relationship.
Exactly.
There are certain things where it's like you can forgive and not necessarily forget that if that transgression happens again, of course you're going to bring it up, but you have to be able to let it go and be like, if they genuinely apologize and they felt bad and they understand how that hurt you, you should be able to accept that and be like, I understand that it wasn't meant maliciously and that it just, hurt my feelings and I'm sensitive about this and it won't come up again.
That's right. You do have to vocalize when you are hurt, because that's something you can't sit there and just say, oh, well, it's okay. Well, no. Vocalize when you are hurt. And that other person should learn to be able to take the time to hear you.
And that kind of works with Carl and Danny too, where it's like, hey, I'm just going to ghost you on this game. And it's like, you hurt my feelings, man. And it wouldn't have been so awkward at that dinner if they just can have this conversation and be like, I got to talk to my wife. I have a really good time with you, but this is a weird thing and I got to figure it out mentally first and wrap my head around it and figure out who I am and who I want to be and, But communication, that's one of those things.
Honestly, and even in that situation where Danny is in there, even though he's in a situation with Carl, the thing is, he felt alone. And the thing is like, that's that moment where you get to turn around to your teammate, which was his wife or his partner, his chosen partner, and say, this is my problem, this is what's happening.
And they were able to work it out.
Exactly. So it works that way, because forgiveness itself is indeed a process.
Yes.
And it's something that it doesn't just happen immediately. Remember, forgiveness is a process, it's not a result.
Oh,
so don't ever see it as, boom, this is it. No, you're working through. That's how forgiveness happens. It doesn't instantly happen, and it's not a result of something else. So
if it instantly happens, you weren't really butthurt about it in the first place.
It's not, I said sorry, now I'm forgiven, and that's it. It's a byproduct, blah, blah. No. Sometimes forgiveness takes a process. And even if someone says, okay, I understand, I forgive you, they're still hurt, and that has to go away.
And you have to understand that it is kind of like, not necessarily a break of trust, but it is something that you're going to have to reassure them that it's not going to happen again, that everything will be okay, that you understand that they were hurt and that you don't ever want to do that to them again.
That's correct. And I've got two more, but one of them I'm thinking I may just drop. But I'll drop that one. Forget it. It's not that big. It's pretty much addressed already earlier. So the last one is set boundaries.
Okay.
Now, with the set boundaries, a
we
relationship...
see that a little bit in here.
Yes, we do!
What do we got?
So a relationship is a two-way street. So you have to tell your partner, honestly, what you would like them to do or not to do. And be prepared for the boundaries they will set for you too. These are things that you have to kind of pay attention to. Like, your needs and your feelings do matter in the relationship.
Of course.
And by making yourself and your needs not actually a priority, but letting them know what they are and putting them out there, like showing all your cards, you are working to be a better relationship and a better person yourself.
It is true. And like kind of how we were talking about before, where you like the reasons why a lot of communication doesn't happen is because you don't want to have that vulnerability.
Yep.
You don't want to show that. You don't want to be that exposed to another person. But when you do that, when Carl and Danny actually come together and it's like, we need to figure this out. Let's put all our differences aside. Let's try to like kiss to see if it's real. And they both make themselves vulnerable. I don't know if that actually worked for Danny, but that's interpretation. But they were able to work it out. And then when he was vulnerable with his wife and it's like, I picked you up from prison.
Yep.
What is going on? You have to tell me. The moment that he opens up and he like shares his insecurities, what's been going on, that is the only time they were able to heal, where she was able to not forget, but forgive and to understand where they're both coming from. But also, and move on.
It's where, and I know you were saying it, you said it for a moment and you stopped and
you
came back.
Go ahead.
No, you said it for a moment and then you stopped and you came back, and I didn't think about it until right now. But once again, the setting boundaries is important because the rules that they end up working with, saying, all right, on this day is when I'm going to do this, here comes the ring and blah, blah, and when we're done, I want this ring back, and you want this. Those are boundaries. Those are boundaries that are set, and they actively did set those boundaries.
And
so
it is, and like what Whitney was saying is like kind of having the social contract, knowing what is appropriate, what isn't appropriate, when it is, and that's something that you only find out over time and through open communication and through interacting with each other, and that's how relationships are built. And when you come up with these agreements, and you understand. And what the consequences may be, and I feel like it's better. Like, it's better to know all the rules ahead of time,
It's true.
You don't want to hurt the other person if you love the other person, and they were able to figure it out. And what we say every single week, communication.
Communication, guys.
It solves
literally
all of your problems.
It really does. It's honest communication will solve all of the problems. You guys have to take the time to really do it. And then when you do, things work out better. I mean, you saw them even at the end of this. They were happy. She was sitting there. I've got what I wanted, which is I did want the other child. I did want this family, and I still have it. He's playing with my son, blah, blah. Everything's looking great. And then we'll switch off, blah, blah. It's one night, and then we come back, and everything's good.
It's true. And then we don't see him staring at any other chicks. It's not. Like the passion that he was missing, he was able to find in a video game.
That's it.
Hey, that's fine. And I feel like even in this day and age where it's just like, it may not be with another person, but it's just like having that downtime, having that alone time. And it's one of those things that people kind of need to ask for. And it's like, oh, I didn't know that you just wanted to do that. Or I didn't know you know.
And that's it. Like, I love that. That's the thing that's so great about it. It was like, I love that you came up with the idea of going over these episodes and, like, finding the relationship milestones and being able to break them down. Oh,
and if you want to join us next Tuesday at 9 o'clock, we are actually going to talk about our last Black Mirror episode in this particular series, and it's going to be San Junipero.
Woo! Probably almost everyone's favorite episode.
It's one of the few, especially in the beginning of like the first few seasons of Black Mirror. It's the only one that was like not totally like disheartening and like depressing. It gives you some hope and optimism. Spoilers.
Definitely.
But we want to talk about that and what happens, with regrets and maybe about how to move on from previous experiences.
Man, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. You guys have seen it, and as we've been going through on this 4-part series, every episode has been getting better, getting deeper, and helping a lot of people in a lot of different ways. We want to continue to be able to do so. So you guys, make sure that you are tuning in for it. Now, there are some plugs that we have to make sure we do tell you about. I don't know if you have the card for the Comic-Con up there.
Our LACC?
Oh, dang.
Okay.
All right, so we've got Comic-Con coming up, and that's going to be next week, and that's going to be October 12th. 11th, 12th, and 13th. Now,
so Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
That's right. So Saturday the 12th, we have
our Power Rangers.
Two panels. The first panel is Power Ranger panel, and that's at what time? I forgot. It's at noon. And it's
actually, we'll have it up if you guys are curious. We if you want to check it out, is it on our website?
Yeah, it should.
It's on our website. Please.
It'll be on the social media.
That's right.
So follow us at that hashtag show, thathashtag.com if you want to check out the website, or that hashtag show on Instagram or Facebook. We will definitely post it there because we were not prepared this evening.
No, we're sorry.
But yeah, LA Comic Con is coming up. It's going to be super excited. We have 3 panels. It's going to be hosted by some of the Illuminati cast.
That's right.
We have Joe, we have Justin Keyson, who's going to be doing it, who's in New York right now.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I know, right? I wanted that so bad. I wanted that assignment. But yeah, so definitely go ahead and check us out there if you happen to be in the LA area during that time. Head on over and get your tickets for the LA Comic Con. We will be there, and we'll be there in force. So we can't wait to see you guys. If you happen to be there, stop by, say hello. And
if you want to look good at your conventions, make sure to check out some of our t-shirts. The Battlestar Galactica is representing his brand today. And so if you want to be any part of that hashtag show, make sure to check out these super cool shirts. We got a lot of mashups for Power Rangers too. That is going to be super cool. Hopefully on this Sunday or Saturday show, we will introduce a new mashup because we will be in the midst of October and we have a new one for you guys. So make sure to tune in on Saturday for the Ranger wrap up and for the Retro Ranger wrap up on Sunday.
That is correct. And with that, I think we've hit all the plugs.
Actually,
right?
But we do.
Oh, no.
I've been ignoring.
There's one more thing. That's right. I forgot.
No, I'm not. I just want to say that Larry Newville gave us another super chat. So before our stream ends, Larry Newville asks, so here is one more. So on the rocks, what movie title describes your last relationship? Jeez. That is a hard one. I am not prepped for this. And this is kind of apt for Quest for Player 2.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you... your current relationship, or is it your last relationship? Yeah, last relationship. So the one before this.
Oh, okay, so not my current.
Yeah, your last one. Last one.
Okay.
I don't know.
My current one is like Cloud 9. That's a good title.
I like that.
It's working good. It's working perfect. I love it. Or Planes, Trains, Automobiles, because it's kind of long distance.
So
that can work too. That can work. But for my last one, Shutter Island. 'Cause,
Oh,
God
jeez.
damn it.
Was there like murdering and shit going on?
There was insanity, man. Insanity.
Okay.
So Shutter Island is for my last
Mine was
relationship.
Home Alone.
Wow. That was actually pretty good.
Producer Shay says Home Alone. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Castaway.
Oh my
Josh is his Castaway. That's fine. So what do you got?
I don't know. I also don't watch a lot of movies. If you're interested, we might start like Elle watches.
Oh yes, actually, it may happen.
Where I need to watch more movies because I haven't seen a lot.
Oh, it's okay. It's all
She
right.
hasn't seen the movies.
Elle,
I
you
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
the
the movies, but don't worry. Elle watches will happen. Elle watches will happen.
It's definitely not Disney movies, and I watch most of those, so that they're not applicable to me. So maybe when I watch more failed relationship movies, I'll get back to you, Larry Newbill.
Yeah,
Thank you so
okay.
much for that super
All right.
chat.
I appreciate it, Larry. Let's know what yours is too. We definitely love to know. And also, guys.
Larry says Love and Basketball.
Oh, that's a nice one. I love
Haven't
that
seen
movie too. Oh my god, it's so good. It's so cute. It's so cute. It's so cute. But guys, I wanted to tell you guys something that's kind of near and dear to our hearts right now, which is the Cosmic Protectors is still running strong, and we're making sure that we get the content out to you guys as soon as possible. We're doing all that we can right now to finish up the last of the
been kind
audio.
of failing on the social media. We are
Oh, it's
working
fine.
really hard to like get certain things done, and we've all
Exactly.
been super busy. But be looking for updates. We have a few more. I'm super excited to be posting about some of our voice actors that are going to be doing our.
I think we have some
motion
line art
comic.
coming out. I think, or did we just have some line art?
We have two, and they're going to be the rewards for. Wait, are we? No, we're in September, so those rewards should have gone out. If not, they're going to be going out today.
They're going up either tonight or tomorrow morning.
Tonight or tomorrow morning,
Cool.
we are going to have our September rewards sent out to our Patrons.
Ooh.
Patrons on Patreon.
Patrons on
Got
Patreon.
that? It's hard. It's hard. I'm going to get it. Don't you worry. I'm going to figure out how to words good.
Don't worry, it's perfectly fine. But once again, if you guys want to find out what's happening with Cosmic Protectors, you can definitely go to patreon.com/Cosmic Protectors. You can also pay attention to us on social media right now. We definitely are on Instagram in full effect at Cosmic Protectors.
And Facebook.
That's right. So you'll be able to know what's happening with Cosmic Protectors, see what are the new options for anyone who is a patron on Patreon. Because I was going to mess that up really bad in a second. So you can find all that information right over there. And with that, I want to ask people, where can they find you?
Yep. It's going to be Cosmic Protectors. I got to come back on social media. I was on a 5-day camping trip, and I had no reception whatsoever.
Hey, that's the whole thing about camping. Forget it. Shut out the
It
world.
is. I had
Enjoy
no
yourself.
phone, so I was gone all last week, but I'll be right back there. Please check us out.
There you
And
go.
What about you?
You can find me at the .illuminerdi on Instagram. That's where I am, just giving you guys updates on everything that's happening with the Illuminati. Also, some things that are happening here on that hashtag show.
Because
like
these
this
shows
show.
are presented by
The Illuminati. That's right. So with that, we want to say make sure that you guys hit that bell so you get the notification, and this way you can make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe to keep up to date with everything trending.
in geek pop culture.
All right, guys.